Why does it feel like I'm stuck in career limbo? Why am I waiting for someone else to notice my value? Why does job searching feel like throwing resumes into a black hole? Am I missing something, or is it time to change the game? If these questions are running through your mind, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Hire Me Pls career podcast. I'm Gemma Lopez, career coach and recruiting expert, and this season is all about taking back control of your career. No more waiting for permission, no more playing small. I'm here to help you ditch the doubt, advocate for yourself, and land a role that excites you. From navigating career pivots to negotiating what you're really worth, we're uncovering the real, unfiltered strategies that you need to know. No gatekeeping here. So, if you're ready to go from feeling stuck to thriving in your career, let's do this. Hey there, welcome back to Hire Me Pls. If this is your first time listening, hello, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. If you're returning and you've heard all of season 1 and even the bonus episodes on salary negotiation, I'm so glad you're back. And thank you for listening. I'm Gemma Lopez. I'm a career coach and honestly, your biggest cheerleader, the person who's going to help you stop settling for a career that drains you and start actually thriving. And guess what? Season 2 is officially here. We are going in, guys. I'm so excited. I'm really proud of this season because I have put a lot of thought and a lot of the actual scenarios of what my clients are dealing with and what they're thinking about and what they're struggling with. And I think that it's really great. I'm so excited about it. I'm going deeper. I'm getting even more real. And today I really wanted to kick things off with the big question of, do you really need a career coach? Like, what can a career coach actually do for you? And is it worth the investment? Now, be honest. Have you felt like you've been stuck in your career? Maybe you feel like you need a change, or you just know that you really need a change because you don't think you can do this for another year. But every time you try to think about it, every option feels overwhelming. Or maybe you're just tired of feeling undervalued and unappreciated at work. Like, no matter how hard you work, how much you do, how much you ask for, it's never enough. I also have had people tell me, and I've actually been here too, that they have these ridiculous quotas, these ridiculous goals they have to hit. And they're so unrealistic, but you make it, you hit your goals. And then next month, the goalpost moves. And it's just going to be the same thing, which is constant grinding, constant hamster wheel running, frustrating, anxiety-ridden, burnout coming. That is the vibes, right? Now, if any of that hits home, trust me, this episode is for you. By the end of the episode, you're going to have a whole new perspective on whether career coaching is something that can actually help you and actually change your life. All right, let's jump in. Well, before we can even talk about whether career coaching is for you, we have to clear this up. What the hell even is career coaching? Because I know there's a lot of confusion out there. Well, here's the deal. Career coaching is not therapy. It's not mentorship. It's not consulting. And let me just say this, it's definitely not me applying for jobs for you, finding jobs for you, and helping you get a job, like the physical act of getting a job. If that's what you're looking for, so sorry, you need someone like a reverse recruiter or a headhunter, just not me. So maybe you're in the wrong podcast. Career coaching is it's a results-oriented partnership that is client-driven. So think of it like this, like hiring a personal trainer for your career. I'm not going to lift the weights for you, but I'll spot you. And I'll make sure that you're showing up, that you're putting in the work, and you're getting the real results. And here is the thing I think that people don't really understand unless you've already worked with a coach or, have kind of invested in personal development. Coaching isn't just about helping you. It's about pushing you, helping you see the things that you can't see on your own. I often hear I don't even know what I don't know. Well, it's great because I actually do know. I've actually spent over a decade of my life really focusing on all the things that you really are confused about, which is hiring, what to say, what to do, what the recruitment process is like, how to stand out, what transferable skills are, how to grow in your career, how to ask for that raise, like all of those things. Those are my jam. Those are the things that I've spent the last 15 years. Can't believe it's been that long, but I've spent that time not only growing my own career, but getting certified and trained and all of my education and all of these things. So it's not just about helping you. I can help you see things that you can't see on your own. I can shine the light on areas where you are missing them. And I can help you get clear on what actually matters to you. And then this is the big one because everybody needs this, even me. I will also hold you accountable to actually do something about it. One more thing is career coaching is not a one-size-fits-all thing. All coaches are not created equally. The coaching industry is totally unregulated. So if you've ever thought coaching is just a bunch of fluff, it's BS, I can do this myself, it's common knowledge, I get it. But that's why finding the right coach, the right person who challenges you in the right way is everything. So let me tell you about a client of mine, which is kind of a lot of my clients, to be honest with you, but I'll tell you about this one specific client. She had been stuck in the same job for years. She was underpaid. She felt undervalued. And every day, every single day, she felt more and more disconnected from the work. She kept telling herself, maybe next quarter I'll do something. I'll look for a job or, I'll figure out what I'm going to do. Maybe after my bonus, maybe next year, you ever said that? You ever say like, oh, I'll do that when, because right now is too busy or there's too much or it's just not the right time or I'm about to get that promotion or whatever the case is, right? Yeah, me too. I have definitely said that. But the thing is, she wasn't lazy and she's not lazy. She applied to so many roles internally. She tried to make a change for years, but she never even got an interview. Sometimes she wouldn't even get a rejection email from the company that she worked for. So what did she do? She buried herself in work. She tried to convince herself time and time again that it's not that bad. And she kept waiting for things to magically get better. Spoiler alert, they didn't get better. So by the time she came to me, she wasn't looking for a miracle. She just needed some clarity. And you know what happened? Within just a few sessions, we figured out that she didn't even need to go back to school or take a pay cut or start from scratch, which are all the things that she came to me asking if she should do those things. But she found out that she didn't have to do any of those things. She had transferable skills, and those skills actually were relevant to a number of career paths. So she actually had more options after talking to me than she initially thought she did. She actually thought she had no options. And we worked together to figure out which of these options was going to be the best fit for her based on what her skills are, her values, what she wanted in a work environment, what was important to her. So we kind of did all that investigative research, right? And all of this work really showed her that she was the perfect fit for a role in project management. Once we got that clarity, everything moved fast. I refined her resume, I optimized her LinkedIn profile, we built out an intentional network strategy, and boom, within months, just months of meeting me, she went from having no clue what she was going to do. She literally thought, oh my God, I'm going to be stuck at this job for the rest of my life, or I'm going to have to go to school and start completely over, to having interviews lined up. And she landed a new job with not only better work-life balance, but better pay. And she loves what she's doing. She's doing all of the work that she enjoys. And the last time I talked to her, she literally told me, Gemma, if it weren't for you, I'd still be stuck in that soul-sucking job. I would have never left. And that, my friend, that right there, that is the power of coaching. So let's take a deeper dive. How do you know if you actually need a career coach? I can honestly tell you, yes, I'm biased. Like, I'm a career coach. I think everyone needs a career coach. I certainly needed one. Still have coaches to this day. But let me help you come to this decision. And I'm just going to ask you some questions. Do you wake up dreading work? Like, are you literally, the first thought of your mind is, ugh, I want to call in. I don't want to go. Is that your first thought? Do you feel undervalued? Are you on the verge of burnout, like all the time? Do you know or feel very strongly that you're underpaid? That one gets me all of the time because almost every person I talk to feels underpaid. I was underpaid for a long time. I didn't feel underpaid. I was underpaid. And I stayed in jobs way longer than I should have because of that whole, am I really underpaid? Is it really better? You know, that spiraling questions that we all do. I digress. Do you get anxiety? Like that pit in your stomach every time a Slack message pops up or you hear that ping from Teams? Are you getting passed up for promotions or applying for all these damn transfers and no one's getting back to you? Or maybe, just maybe, you are in a job that you don't even want anymore. Now, you have to be honest with yourself because this is the hard part. The awareness, right, is the hard part. The recognition of like, oh shit, I have a problem. Like, that's the hard part. Let's keep going because this is kind of fun. Have you ever had one of those Sunday night spirals? Or Friday? It usually happened to me on Fridays, or let's be honest, like whenever I had a bad day. But a lot of people, it happens on Sundays where they know that they have to go to work tomorrow and they're staring at their computer or their phone and they're doom scrolling on LinkedIn. They're looking for jobs. But instead of applying for them, you're wondering if you're even qualified for half of them. Can I even do these jobs? Oh, I don't even see any jobs that I qualify for. So then you just feel frustrated and like annoyed and even more stuck and resentful and all the bad things before you go to work on Monday. And then you do it all over again. If you've been shaking your head or being like, damn, she's reading my mind, just know I see you. And you don't have to live like this. You don't have to just suck it up and power through. You deserve to wake up excited about your work. You deserve to feel valued. You deserve to feel fulfilled. And you deserve to feel like you're in complete control of your career. And yes, honey, yes, you deserve that money that you want. You deserve it. What you're asking for is not too much. You're not being too picky. You're not asking for the moon. And even if you are, you deserve it, right? To a point. Like, okay, I've worked with a lot of people in their early careers that are coming out of college and saying, I want $120. And I'm like, okay. So let me take a little bit of that back and say that it's okay for you to want things. It's okay for you to have these feelings. And I also want to tell you that you deserve better. You deserve better. And if you don't feel that way, if you don't agree, if you're like, no, I really do think I'm asking for too much, let's talk about why. Because I promise you, there's something there if you just dig enough. And Do you want to know actually how I know all of this? It's because I've been there for years, like over 10 years. Like I climbed the corporate ladder thinking, this is it. This is success. I've worked in recruiting. I've worked in a bunch of industries. I got certified. I got my grad degree. I, was moving up in leadership. And on paper, I was crushing it. And I'll never forget the moment that everything changed for me. So I was reporting directly to the CHRO, and there was this like massive leadership gap above me. The CEO at the company was pushing my boss to offload some of his direct reports because, he's C-suite. Why is he managing an entire talent team? So one by one, they kept bringing in new VPs to fill the role. And when I say new, I mean, we cycled through at least 3 different VPs in 1 year. 3. And I'll be honest with you, brutally honest, none of them had a clue what they were doing. Like they had found these people that had somehow failed up the corporate ladder. And I was the one training them. I was the person that was building out their strategies. I was doing their work, like the actual work of how are we going to hit our goals and how are we going to strategize and how are we going to do all these things. I did that while they were taking credit for it, presenting my ideas and my strategies to the executives and making way more money than I was. I was pissed. Of course I was. I was pissed. I had to train a new manager every single time while I also had my own job to do, right? And as a recruiting leader, you are not just recruiting. It's so funny. I was talking to someone else about this the other day of what people actually think recruiters do. And it's way more than just filling roles. Obviously, that depends on company. Every company is different. Every organization is set up differently. But I was a working leader where I had roles to fill. I managed a whole team. I also was in charge of doing all of the training and development for hiring managers. I was, in charge of initiatives for DEI. And this is like way before the George Floyd era of like what DEI is that now people are pulling back. Like I was doing all these things. So recruiting was just like one piece of the pie. And these leaders that they kept hiring had never done this job a day in their life. They'd never done it. Like this is the kicker and the part that just drives me nuts. And I'm sure that there's so many people that can relate when they bring in a boss to manage a team that has never actually done the job. It's like so infuriating. You're just like, what? Do you even know what we do? And yes, they don't. They don't know what you do. Well, I was pissed. And the worst part is I knew it was going to keep happening because they didn't want anyone that worked in recruiting to actually recruit for this position. Like, I had hired so many VPs that still work at this company to this day. I'd hired so many people in this company. And they felt that I was too close, that I wouldn't be able to find someone, even though, like I just said, I hired so many of the other VPs in the company. And I also realized that the executives didn't know how to hire. I was like, how do you guys not know how to hire? Thank God you hired me, but how do you not know what you need in this position? So the whole thing was baffling to me. But the thing that really got me, the thing that really, really, really got me was sitting in these leadership meetings and hearing how they actually talked about employees, what they prioritized, what they ignored, what they didn't care about. And I realized that no matter how hard people worked, no matter how much they contributed, decisions were being made based on politics and not performance. So the people that I knew who were breaking their backs for this company, they weren't even on leadership's radar. And then this shit happened. It's crazy. This all happened. And now when I look back at it, I was like, yeah, it was crazy. But this happened. The newest VP, my boss, hired a white man at the same level as me. Now, why am I calling this out? Because one, I'd been at the company for years. Two, I was a monumental piece of their success. I hired so many people. I built up so many teams. Like the teams, the people that I built, that legacy, the trainings, all that they still do those things. They're still implementing those strategies that I put in place, right? So I was invested in this company. Like I loved this company. I loved this job. And they hired a white man that was the same level as me, but at $25,000 more in base salary. And this was after I spent almost an entire year fighting for my current salary, which had happened after, surprise, surprise, I had found out that another white person on my team, this time a woman, another peer, same level, was making more than me, about $20,000, after she had taken a counteroffer from the company. So she was going to leave and they retained her and gave her a huge ass raise. And I was done. I was like, screw this, right? Well, that actually wasn't the final straw. The final straw was soon after. And like I said, this just all lined up. It was like a whole snowball of all this bullshit. But I signed a check for $200,000 to a staffing agency. Now, this wasn't for some massive hiring initiative. It wasn't a critical project. No, it was because leadership had neglected workforce planning so bad that my team literally could not take on the work. And those people that they were making more than me, right? The ones I just told you about, they couldn't fill those roles. And I was like, no, I can't. I'm at bandwidth. I'm at my max capacity. So funny enough, they actually did have money, right? But instead of investing in people, they just threw the money at the problem. And that was it for me. I looked at that check. I looked at that company that I had given years of my life to, and I thought, I'm done. And listen, I'd love to sit here and tell you that I walked away because I had some big epiphany about my purpose or because I wanted to make a meaningful impact, but that's not the truth. The real reason I left, the real reason that I dropped out of corporate is because I realized that I could make way more money working for myself, doing a fraction of the work. So I left. I started consulting. I went independent, and honestly, almost immediately, I made more than I ever did in corporate. I doubled my salary within months. I had more freedom. I had less stress. I wasn't sitting in any useless meetings. There was no corporate bullshit. It was just me, my skills, and my terms. And for a while, it was great. But something shifted. I had the money, I had the freedom, and yet I still wasn't happy. And let me tell you, I was pissed about this. I was like, why am I not happy? I was frustrated and I felt all the feels and I just couldn't figure it out because I had done everything right. I had escaped corporate. I built my own thing. I'd proven to myself that I could do it. So why did I still feel off? And that's when I had to get real with myself. I had to really do the inner work to really think about my why, which sounds really stupid and cliche, right? Because they're always like, start with why and find out your why. And it's all about your why. But I really had to do that work. And in that discovery, that self-discovery, I had chosen recruiting and wanted to go into leadership because at the time, it was the obvious choice. It was safe. It made sense. I made good money. But the deeper that I looked at myself, the deeper that I got, the more I realized that I did it all for the money. I love recruiting. I love what I do. I love filling roles. I really care about the people behind the roles. But I cared about the ones who felt stuck and undervalued and lost. And because they were like me, they were like my friends, they were like all of us. You know, the ones who were burning themselves out in jobs that weren't built for them. Because I can guarantee you, after talking to thousands of job seekers and thousands of people, a lot of the times we just fall into our careers. And they make jokes like people say no one's ever wanted to be a recruiter. No one goes to school for being a recruiter. Let me tell you, no one knows what the hell they want to do at 18. I mean, yes, there are some magical people out there that are like, my whole life I wanted to be a doctor or whatever the case, right? Like they actually know, like they don't have those problems. But for the majority of us, we have no idea what we're going to do. It's like you turn 18, you go to college, you sign off all these debts. I'm a millennial, I'll admit it. And you're forced to like pick a career path. How does that make sense? Make it make sense to me because I had no clue what I was going to do when I went to college. I had no clue. I was working in retail at that time and then I went into banking and I was like, ooh, I'm a bank teller. This is dope. But I had no idea what my skills were, what my strengths were, what I liked, what I didn't like. Like I had no clue. And I chose recruiting because I was an admissions advisor and it seemed like the easiest sidestep. It was like, oh, okay, cool. Like this is a real career. I hate what I'm doing, so let me do this. And it paid the bills and then it became this beautiful corporate career that I loved, but I never really had that moment where I sat down and said, oh, this is what I want to do. And this is why it aligns. And this is why I love it. And I was lucky. I am lucky because recruiting really, really supports all of my skills. It was like, I love talking to people. I've never met a stranger. I'm genuinely curious about people. Like, thankfully, my skills aligned really well with recruiting. And that's why I've been so successful because when things come easy for you, it's easy, right? And I fell into it. And I just got lucky in that regard that what I fell into ended up being such a great match for my personality, for my strengths, for my values, for things that came easy to me. But that's not the case for most people. So back to the story, I realized that it wasn't an intentional choice, that I actually spent the last 10 years moving up the ladder on something that just wasn't aligned with me anymore. Like once I looked behind the curtain, I didn't want to be there. And then once I worked for myself, I made that really hard realization that I did it for the money. And I've actually heard people tell me most recently in the last couple of years since I started my business that everyone starts their first business for the money. And I was like, okay, that makes me feel better. Because when I did all this soul searching, I was like, why do I do that? It was literally for the money, and I'll admit it. So I made another choice. I pivoted again. I trained to become a coach, not because I had some aha moment where a coach changed my life, but because I had became the coach that I wish I had when I was sitting in that leadership meeting. I was the coach that I needed when I sat there crying on the floor, feeling like I couldn't afford to pay my bills, yet I didn't know how to get out of that. I didn't know there was other options. I didn't know what I could do. I felt stuck for so long. I'd never changed my career. I've always done the same thing. And that's why I do this. It's not to help you get another job, but really to help you see what's actually possible for you, to help you build something that feels aligned. And really to make sure that you don't wake up 5 years from now thinking, what the hell am I still doing here? I know what it's like to feel trapped. I know what it's like to think, maybe this is just how work is supposed to feel. Maybe it's supposed to suck. It's work. But I also know in my heart of hearts that you don't have to settle for that. So to summarize, do you need a career coach? Listen, I'm not here to convince you. But if anything I just said hit home, then I'm here to tell you that you do not have to figure this out alone. So let's do a quick exercise. Here's what I want you to do. Grab a notebook, open your notes app, whatever works for you. But take the next few days and really answer these 3 questions. What is one thing about your career that frustrates you the most? I'll repeat it. What is one thing about your career that frustrates you the most? Number 2, if you could wave a magic wand, what would your ideal career look like? And number 3, what's stopping you from making that change right now? Now, if your answers feel messy or they're overwhelming or you don't even know where to start, that's your sign. Coaching exists to help you sort through the noise and actually take action towards the goals that you want to achieve. So if you're ready to stop spinning your wheels or you have no idea what is even possible for you, let's talk about it. Book a free discovery call with me. Let's have a conversation. The link is in the show notes. And I also want to ask you a favor. If you know someone that feels the same way, that has been asking themselves the same questions and y'all are talking about it, send this episode to them. Send it to a friend who is struggling a little bit in their career. Let's help more people break free. Thank you so much for listening. This is Gemma signing off. And I want to leave you with this. If you're not managing your career, someone else is. And I guarantee you that they are not thinking about what's best for you. So let's change that. And I will see you next week. Have a good day. Hey, friend. If this episode gave you an aha moment, I want to hear about it. You can connect with me on LinkedIn and tell me your biggest takeaway. Or you can even send a message right here in the show notes. And if you're done spinning your wheels and ready to take action, real action towards a career that excites you, let's talk about it. You can book a free career strategy call with me at mycoachgemma.com. And let's get you moving forward towards a career that you love.